So, March is over and it's time for another round of movies I was forced to watch. On the live stream, audience members each tossed a movie suggestion on a wheel. Patreon members got better odds, and today I got a batch of movies to talk about. Some good, some just okay, and one that made me question reality. In fact, why don't we start with that one?
Son of a bitch.
Fred 2, Night of the Living Fred, recommended by Jamie. Oh boy, okay. So, a couple videos back I had to watch Fred the movie, and it was so bad it made me fall headfirst into snow. And I thought it was over, but no, apparently there's a sequel. One I've heard is actually better. I don't know, I mean maybe there's room for optimism. Maybe it'll give me COVID instead of the clap. How bad could it be?
But I did some research and I found some vampire fun facts.
Surrender, Fred.
Okay, I'll surrender. Not Fred!
One out of 10, at least this inexplicable fart made me laugh.
Son of a bitch.
Next is Flow, recommended by Vicious TNT. Flow was a kind of indie darling in 2024, hailing from Latvia and made on the free software program Blender. Incredibly, it won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, and thank Christ, because Inside Out 2 had no business being in the parking lot of the Oscars. As we all know, the beginning is so important to any book, show, or movie. And yet, I have a soft spot for movies that don't start super well. Not terrible, but where you're not really sure if the story's gonna work for you, and then it just gets better and better and better. It's a neat experience, like the film is rewarding you for sticking with it. So yeah, I think the first 10 minutes are a little jarring. The music is bland, and by far the worst animated of the animals are the dogs, and the intro is mostly them. But once the voyage actually starts, I found myself sucked in harder than a DC lobbyist. The environment is like a mix of the lush worlds of Team Ico games and post-apocalyptic art, and it creates a mood both somber and rather beautiful. The use of lighting and color beam with emotion. The fact that the jumping animations aren't very good stopped bothering me because I found myself caring so much about these animals. I love the gentle yet dissonant electronic music, and those slow, heavy chords in the finale. I still can't get over the main concept, that being of a journey of animals that act just like animals, and yet they still fulfilled the kind of roles that give a story strong character dynamics. They picked the right animals for these roles too. That's a fun writing exercise for everyone. Come up with a story, or pick a story that already exists, and change the humans to animals, provided that the animals can't talk or act like humans at all. What would you pick? I'll go first. Tyler Durden from Fight Club is a honey badger. This is very much a vibe movie, given that there is zero dialogue, but unlike, say, Nomadland, I actually got something out of the story. I'd like to retroactively change one of my slots for my top 10 of 2024 video to this, because while I do have my issues, they are overwhelmed by a flood of positives. This was such a win, not just for Latvia, but for animation as a whole. More like this, please. 8 out of 10.
Used real animal voices. It's not humans mimicking animals. The only animal where we did take some artistic liberties is the capybara, because the voice was so high-pitched, kind of unpleasant. And this character is very calm and kind of peaceful, and we needed something deeper, so the capybara is voiced by a baby camel.
Son of a bitch.
Next is Lavender, recommended by Misty and Company. Sometimes I feel kind of bad when audience members recommend movies through this live stream wheel game, and they're all excited to get my thoughts, and here I am, about to dump all over it. But if you guys are clicking my videos, you deserve honesty, not whatever those early reviews of Snow White were. The movie is reminiscent of other horror movies that want to be a spooky A24 film, but don't have the script or cinematography or score or acting to do it. So it just insists that it's scary through its slow camera movement and typical music. Some character interactions work. With just a simple, "I said yes," you can immediately tell that the marriage is on the rocks. But when the dialogue is trying to be profound, it comes across as unnatural. Lavender is one of those odd movies where the lead character is the worst part. Actress Abby Cornish seems to be deliberately trying to talk as slowly as possible. It's awkward, and the last thing Lavender needs is more things slowing it down. Also, this is such a small thing, but pronouncing epitaph as epitaph almost set me into convulsions. Free writing tip. Give us a reason to follow the main character other than the events that happen to them. In Lavender, you may as well call this woman protagonist, because that's just it. She is person that things happen to and little else. It's so dull. The story takes forever to get going, and by the time violence arrives, it's way too late. The way the drama and the horror is brought forward is so amateur that I found it impossible to get invested. And a lot of what the movie is going for depends on the lead actress, and she's not given much to work with, and she's not doing a good job. Horror movies about families or motherhood are everywhere, and you need to stand out a little from the pack, and Lavender just doesn't. 4 out of 10.
3, 2.
Son of a bitch.
Next is Taxi, recommended by Darth Vader. God, do I miss a good car chase. Feels like we get a good one like every 5 years. The intro, for example, features some incredible driving. It's unfortunate that they felt the need to use the song Meeserloo from Dick Dale and the Deltones. That song will always be associated with Pulp Fiction, especially since these movies were only a few years apart, so all it can really do is distract. The two leads, the driver and the cop, don't have much chemistry or particularly good dialogue, and I was hoping for a more buddy cop dynamic. The driver at least has skills, and the actor has an interesting look and a rough sort of charm. The cop is adult, and his mistakes get more irritating throughout the film. I do like a good heist film. The heisting here is pretty straightforward, but the tricks they use to avoid detection are clever. Appropriately for a movie with action, the best comedy bits are physical. In the third act, there's this cool preparation sequence, and the last thing you're expecting is a joke. So when it arrives, it almost shocks you into laughter. And it's even funnier because the rest of the sequence goes on like nothing happened. Taxi is an enjoyable ride when it's focusing on the heisting and street racing, but the cracks start to show when the character work comes to the surface. The film desperately needs more action and less prep work and cutesy dialogue. The romantic subplots grind the story to a halt, and the whole gimmick of the two of them about to hook up and then being interrupted, and then about to again, and then interrupted, gets very annoying. Oh, sorry, we spoiled your evening. Yeah, no shit. Can you leave? Overall, this was decent, but it had every ingredient to be amazing. I'm gonna have to go with 6.
Son of a bitch.
Next is Funny Games 2007, recommended by Ellie. Keep that remote handy during the opening credits if you watch this on a TV. That shift in volume and tone isn't so much a shift as a fucking caps lock. I absolutely love how Funny Games sets up its suspense. First, it starts as our main characters talk to another couple from a distance. We can barely see the other couple, but through the performances and the staging of actors, we know something is wrong. Then we are introduced to Brady Corbett's character in the kitchen. Nothing sinister is actually happening, but that part of your brain knows, again from the smallest details as before, that panic is on the horizon. Everything in this movie leading up to the main reveal that gets the plot going is masterful. Here's the problem, and it's a sentiment felt by many who watch this, and that's, why the fuck am I watching this? 3 innocent people get physically and psychologically tortured by 2 smirking shitbirds for 2 hours. And sure, one could say, why would you want to be scared? And that's fair, but I like getting scared because it's thrilling. It gets the heart rate going, and a film often has to be pretty creative to get me to that point. Fear is immersive and takes me away from my current comfort. Funny games sure makes me uncomfortable, but so does sitting on your balls. I don't find funny games entertaining or clever or profound. It is torture porn with less blood. And yet, I cannot deny how well everything is stitched together. The performances are superb, including the child actor. The cinematography is stylish without being over the top. The editing is fluid and the dialogue is natural, and when it's unnatural, it's for a reason. This is superior filmmaking, but it's in service of something I find pointless. There are plenty of essays about this film's genius, its commentary on America's obsession with violence, but none of that changes the fact that this is excruciating to watch, and even that commentary I find to be threadbare and unprovocative. I feel like there's a line between when content is upsetting to hit the point home and when it devolves into misery for the sake of misery, and where that line is drawn will vary from person to person. Funny Games jumps as far as it can over the line with full intention. And just like the film Goodnight Mommy, I don't see what I'm supposed to get out of the film when that misery is so drawn out. And boy, do I hate the argument of, this film is teasing or trolling or torturing the audience. Isn't that brilliant? No, it's not. Funny Games is a beautiful looking steak that makes you rush to the bathroom because the chef seasoned it with rat poison. Oh, what a peasant am I, wanting to enjoy my steak instead of throwing up. How silly of me. I saw someone on IMDb rate this a 10 out of 10 and said, quote, "If you don't like this film, then the director succeeded." And I can't begin to unravel how much that logic angers me. So how do I rate this? There's so much talent in front of and behind the camera. But really, what is this in service of? The plot is repetitive, the commentary is thin, the ending's a cheat, and despite everything that happens, the tone is consistent gruel. I wouldn't tell anyone to watch this, but I also wouldn't dissuade anyone either. Like anything controversial, it's worth watching if you're the type that likes offering up their perspective. So, 6 out of 10?
How did you get in here?
Down there. I mean, down by the water.
But you're not wet.
There's a hole in the fence. By the water, not in the water. Fred showed... Mr. Thompson knows about it. He showed it to me.
Oh, I see. So, you're sure they're okay like this?
Yeah, it's okay. No problem. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Son of a bitch.
Second to last is Howl, recommended by Callsign Maverick's channel. When watching the werewolf movie Howl, two things stayed with me throughout the runtime. One, wow, that early jump scare was terrible. And two, it's been a while since I've been this confused at what tone a horror flick is going for. Let's break it down. The first attack scene with the creature is extremely corny. Here, a woman is being mauled by a werewolf and she's going like, ah, ah. It's not great. One girl makes such a stupid decision that I was pretty happy she got eaten, but I'm pretty sure we were supposed to hate her. Okay, but then the other characters die and the film seems to want us to mourn them, and yet none of them are interesting or well performed, so I find myself not caring at all. Is this a splatter film about dumb people where we cheer on the deaths? Or are we rooting for them and are frightened when they're in danger? My best guess is Howl is playing it straight, but the action, the camera movements, and the sound effects are often so goofy that I almost want to laugh, but they aren't goofy or over the top enough to actually make me laugh. Maybe it's more about the action and the camaraderie between people desperate to survive. Think about the movie Train to Busan. But again, that movie made the action exciting and the character moments heartbreaking. So both movies may be going for the same end zone, but one is the Philadelphia Eagles and the other the Carolina Panthers. I think part of the reason I'm unsure of the film's tone is because there's no style here. Howl feels like it was shot for efficiency. Howl's soundtrack may as well have come from a stock music website. I don't think it's funny enough or bloody enough or wild enough to get the whole "it's a B movie" excuse. Saying all this, I did like the short sequence where someone is killed in the bathroom. The scene isn't shot very well, the flickering lights are more annoying than scary, but it was the one scene I wanted to go on longer. The movie's not horrible, it's just middle of the road. I'd recommend watching The Wolf of Snow Hollow or The Host for a monster movie drama, and for something more fun, go for Crawl or Grabbers. This one's getting a 5.
What the fuck's happening to her?
She needs help. She's sick.
But why are her teeth falling out?
Shut it.
What? Look, old man, I am just saying that I think
I
you're...
don't know
Okay,
what you're saying,
stop
son.
it. Joe? Joe?
Someone's missing. Son of a bitch.
And last up is Kung Fu Hustle, recommended by Alika Kelly. Well, it's time again to play a game of remember when comedies used to be funny. Kung Fu Hustle comes from the mind of Stephen Chow, who also did the over-the-top Shaolin Soccer that made February's video. This is a ridiculous movie with ridiculous special effects, and that's a good thing. The effects add a lot of charm and match the tone of the story. Plus, without having to waste too much time on them or making them realistic, the filmmakers can stretch reality as much as they want. The main goal here is laughter. So many visual gags. A man is knocked out and a flower pot lands on his head. Later, when a gang takes over the village, he starts scooping dirt around his head like he could disguise himself as a flower. Several characters run like idiots, and I'm all for it. Well, you know, when it's intentional. The whole bit with the throwing knives is hysterical. I like when a movie isn't afraid to have the female characters be weird looking. Most are terrified at the concept. As wacky as the movie is, there's some good fighting. The camera doesn't need to go all Parkinson's to hide the fact that the actors can't fight. I mean, some of these kicks. Damn, this whole sequence with the village versus the Axe Gang is so awesome. I do have a few issues. Some of the sound design could be better, the music repeats itself a little bit too much, and worst of all, the pacing slows dramatically in the middle. Thankfully, things pick back up for the third act. It's well shot, the characters are memorable, and the production design feels authentic. It's another reminder to modern comedies that they need to stop coasting on improv, pop references, and social themes, and get back to the jokes. If you want your film to be funny, treat it like a playground, not a factory. Kung Fu Hustle is a pretty good playground. 7 out of 10. Okay, those are some movies I was forced to watch for March. Check out my Discord for updates on when I'll live stream next, so you can recommend movies for the next video. Link is below. Share, subscribe, comment below, check out the playlist for more content. All the support is amazing. And as always, thanks for watching.